if anyone doesn't want to appear in the video, I'll actually, let me just also spotlight Rian, but you can turn your camera off if you wish to. Perfect. Great. So welcome to Rian from Oxfordshire County Council's Countryside Team and Tree Service, I think it's called, isn't it? I've probably got that wrong. You can you can correct me. And yeah, it's going to tell us all about the tree planting projects from OCC and tree gardens and possibly tree plotter. Is that what it's called? But yeah, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So yeah, I'm Rian. I'm from the County Council Tree Service. I am our, I have a silly long job title, but generally I do stuff on the community engagement side of things to do with tree planting. So I've just kind of got a bit of a presentation for a general overview of the tree service, what we actually do to do with trees, and a particular focus on the planting side, the kind of things that'll probably interest you a bit more. So sort of the very general overview of who we are is we basically manage, maintain and care for all the trees that are owned by the county council. So the majority of these are on the highway network. So we're a highway authority. So we look after the trees that are on the highway within the highway boundary, as well as all the ones that are on land owned by the county council. So for established trees that are kind of the existing trees, they are generally looked after by the area tree officers. So we have one for each district, and they do the regular inspections, raise works where needed, and all the kind of stuff to do with public safety and legal obligations. And then on the kind of fun and shiny side is our tree aftercare and planting service, also known as the TAPS team, who do basically all the planting of new trees around the county and the aftercare as well, as is given away in the name. So yeah, we plant and look after our new trees and have been doing so for the past couple of years. So yeah, still relatively new. Our sort of TAPS is our dedicated in-house team that was created in 2023. And since the team was established, we've already got over 1,600 trees planted on the public highway. And obviously we're coming up to autumn now. We're looking ahead for our planting schedule that's coming up, which we're aiming for another about 1,100 trees in this coming planting season. So we've kind of been amping things up each year. So yeah, we've got a really great team, obviously in-house. So they're all county council staff, which basically means that we're doing everything to our specification and we're doing the best job we can to set ourselves up for future success, because we're planting trees for us to then maintain for their entire lifespan. We also, part of the reason that we got our team and that was approved was because it's a bit of a cost saving measure compared to basically contracting things out to various different contractors to do planting and all that side of things. So yeah, it's a really nice streamlined way of doing it, and also kind of enables us to do my side of things, which is the community engagement, and much more easily talk to people about tree planting and where people want to see new trees. So that's sort of yeah, just a very, very quick overview. The slightly more, it depends how you feel about policy, really. I was going to say it's a bit more boring, but perhaps that's just making too many assumptions. But we have our tree policy for Oxfordshire, and this kind of underpins pretty much everything we do and the decisions we make. And it outlines our commitments and obligations as a public service. So some of the key points from the tree survey, from the tree policy, includes our commitment to increase canopy cover and recognising the importance of that in Oxfordshire, especially in the face of climate change and adapting to that, as well as mitigating the effects where we can. We also are aiming to build a resilient tree stock. So for us, that means diversifying our tree stock. So we plant quite a huge range of species. We do still plant some native trees, but they are currently in the minority, mainly because of where we're planting, which is the highway. So it's not necessarily the most natural environment anyway, so it's not necessarily our aim to be sort of maximizing the biodiversity in those scenarios. And also, if we're only looking at native species, in the grand scheme of things, it's a very limited number, particularly considering how many of them are now affected by really significant diseases. So we've got ash dieback, which is taking out pretty much all our ash. Dutch elm disease, which has already taken out most of the elms. And then we've got a lot of other things, some that we know of, and then others that, we can't necessarily predict what the emerging pests and diseases of the future will be that could significantly impact our tree stock. So basically, the greater diversity we have, the better our resilience if something new does come up, so that we won't lose a huge number of trees and lose the really valuable canopy cover that we're already working hard to establish. And another key part of the tree policy is that for every tree that we're responsible for on OCC owned land, above a certain size that has to be removed, we'll replace it with 2, so that we should always be in having a kind of net gain of trees with our planting, because like any kind of public asset or just living thing, see, the trees they age, some get sick, they die, they have to be removed for public safety, or they reach the end of their natural lifespan. So we are kind of proactively trying to get ahead of our aging tree stock with our planting and with our replacement planting. And then also covered in the tree policy is a bit of a mention towards, again, my side of things, which is our aim to work proactively with community groups and other types of local authorities, so district councils, and then particularly parish councils as well. And also just resident groups, pretty much anyone who's interested in trees, tree planting, looking after trees, anywhere we can work with people. We aim to do so. So that's become an increasingly significant part of our work, which is really nice. So far, it's been a huge positive to get to know people across the county, work with various different groups, and kind of connect with all the different networks who are doing really good things, but also kind of just giving people a way to talk to us. So we're not just a faceless, council organization. They get to see the team out and about. We'll come out and chat with people about, shaping their own environment where we can, and all that sort of thing. So it's a really, really positive side of things. So this is just a little map. This is from Tree Plotter, which is the software we use. And this is every tree that we have planted since, I believe, autumn starting in 2022, which was our kind of first round of planting. The color coding is just based on the land ownership. So all the green ones are the highway ones. So they're trees on the highway network. And the other colors they're from some of our orchard planting, which I'll talk a little bit more about, because they were in a bunch of different places. So normally we are restricted to just planting on our own land or on the highway. But if we have, with external funding opportunities, like the orchard scheme that we did, that sort of enabled us to plant in different places, which was quite exciting. So that's sort of just an overview of all our new trees. They're generally kind of, some are concentrated in the more kind of urban areas. Obviously, you've got Oxford and Banbury and Abingdon in particular have quite a few trees, because as part of our planting, we're trying to maximise the social benefits of the tree planting. And because we're able to plant in the highway, we can really target those urban areas and increase canopy cover, tree cover, where people are really going to get the most benefit from them. But it does quite nicely map onto the exact sort of county shape, which is quite satisfying just in itself. We had a grant last year from the Coronation Living Heritage Fund. I believe actually the West Oxfordshire District Council, they have extended theirs for another year. So I don't know if anyone here is based in West Oxfordshire, but I think they will be very keen to get interest in using their money. So that's just a small plug on their behalf. But for us, this was for our community orchards, and we planted just over 250 orchard trees. See, some of them are shown here. And this was really great. Lots of interest from lots of different groups, parish councils, social housing, as a landowner as well. So we got to work with a lot of different people and schools and all sorts, planting in lots of different places. So that's just kind of, just some of the stuff we get up to. These are a couple of our highway trees. So if you spot trees that look like this out and about, they will almost certainly have been planted by us. We put quite a lot of effort and investment into our trees when we plant them. Because we always plant standards on the highway, so they'll already be fairly large trees, several years old, and they all get kitted out with a good amount of mulch, stakes, and cages for protection. This is what our trees look like, and these will be some freshly planted ones from earlier this year. So probably about, actually these ones might have been when they're out doing the aftercare, but yeah, these will be from this year. And this is some of our, just a bit to touch on kind of some of our decision making. So a couple of bits just pulled out from the tree policy. Is, as I'm sure you're all kind of familiar with, the importance of trees and the various benefits they have. And this is something that is, recognized in our policy, which is really powerful. And especially mentions kind of at the top there, our priority of larger growing shade providing trees. So that will kind of always be our aim. So when we identify our planting sites through various methods, where we can, we'll basically assess what the largest appropriate rough size of tree will be, and we'll kind of select a species based on the available space, and then scale down to the sort of smaller ornamental trees when that space isn't quite suitable for anything larger. And then also just touching a bit on what I've already kind of said about planting a diversity of species, so a mixture of native and non-native, to have, to increase the resilience and diversity of our stock in the face of the various things that can affect trees. And we use the kind of, I think the phrase gets kind of thrown about quite a bit, this right tree, right place approach. But that is generally, that's our approach. It's, we don't kind of strictly base things on, this species must go here. Everything is quite, is individually assessed. And we're very lucky that the head of our planting team and our kind of wider group of tree officers are very experienced arborists, who are incredibly knowledgeable. And I found them all like really great people to learn from. So we have quite a lot of knowledge and experience behind us in the decisions we're making, as well as just kind of the policy as our overall guidance. So the other kind of key part after the trees are planted, obviously we then have to look after them. Especially for us planting standards, the aftercare is really, really crucial. So they do need the bit of extra help to get them going. But with the aftercare in place, they're really, really successful. And we currently have, of all the trees that we planted, our sort of success rate is at about 96%. So we've only lost 4% or so of trees that we've planted in the last 3 years. Which I think we're really very happy with. It's really good. Obviously, some of that has been, obviously, we've had a couple of droughts that has been really, really challenging for the trees. A few trees also lost to damage and vandalism, unfortunately. It's not extremely common, but it does happen every now and again. But still, probably still just in the single digits, maybe just into double digits in terms of the number of trees lost to that. Overall, really good. Our aftercare primarily consists of watering as the most important thing, and topping up mulch and weeding. And then usually after they've had a year to establish already, we'll start formatively pruning the trees. So this won't be, very intensive, and it's not for aesthetic reasons. A lot of it will be foreseeing kind of future possible problems. If a tree has a limb that it looks like, in future it would grow kind of into the carriageway, if we can just trim that off while it's still very small, then that prevents potential larger problems down the line. And it's basically just to try and give the tree a good form that will help it kind of just grow well and prevent any issues of crossing branches and all that sort of thing. And yeah, we just maintain all the kind of bits of kit that our tree gets as well. So making sure they're securely staked and they've got cages to protect them from strimmers and all those sorts of things as well. So as well as our team, we are very fortunate to have a growing community of tree guardians who are our volunteers across the county that help with aftercare. I think that we've probably even got some on in the meeting today, which is really cool. But yeah, so we are now at, I think, maybe just over 100 or so people have signed up or got in touch to help, to tell us that they'd like to look after their trees. And yeah, and we're always looking for more. As I say, we've got over 1,600 trees out there now. This past summer was really, really tough on the young trees, and there are definitely cases where local residents were able to help with the watering. Just that bit of supplementary water really made a difference, actually, and I think prevented quite a lot of losses. So it's a really, really important, valuable role. We're still responsible for all our trees and we do still come out and water them. But yeah, in summers like the one we've just had, just a bit of extra water makes a huge difference and can make all the difference, really. So yeah, we're immensely grateful for everyone who gets involved. For some people it's just the tree that has been planted outside their house. Others I know cycle around with water on their bikes, visiting all their local trees to make sure that they're doing okay. And it's very casual, so you can be quite intense about it if you like, but generally we don't expect a huge amount. There's no kind of formal expectations or requirements. We're grateful for all the help that the trees get, really. It's it's for the trees' benefit, not necessarily ours, but also hopefully I think people get a bit of enjoyment out of it as well. It's a nice way to sort of invest in your local environment and also take ownership of it, especially when we've had trees planted because people have asked for them, and then those people get to nurture those trees as they establish and grow. It's just a really nice, positive thing with a lot of benefits for everyone. So Tree Guardians is a really nice part of what we get to do and really, really valuable as well. So yeah, we're always keen to hear from people, especially if you know where your local trees are that might be looking for a guardian. Anyone is always welcome. And so our email address is on there, which is just tree.planting@oxfordshire.gov.uk. And yeah, so basically anything related to tree planting, that is the place to get in touch with us. And here's just kind of a bit of in case you're interested, some of our sort of aftercare tips that we give people. So generally we give our trees sort of young tree aftercare for the first 3 years after they've been planted. So this will most importantly include the watering. Generally the kind of guidance is to aim for about 50 litres of water each week in those key summer months, or a watering can a day, just as kind of something to aim for. It's it's not obligatory. It's just kind of a bit of rough guidance. But the nice thing is you can sort of reuse any grey water. If you harvest your rainwater, that's that's always great. And then weeding as well is a surprisingly effective way to support the trees. Obviously, things like grasses and weeds can be really quite vigorous, and they do consume a lot of water. And when the trees have, been basically had their whole lives turned upside down and they've just been plonked in the ground without an established root system, it takes them a while to get going and be able to really sustain themselves. So actually reducing the competition immediately around them can make quite a big difference. It just gives them, a bit of an extra head start. And the mulch kind of does the same thing. So we just use wood chip. Usually we get that from the contractors who have been doing tree work for us around the county, which is really nice. So it's a kind of a way to reuse some of that material that otherwise is just being wasted or not really used. We get to put it into our new trees. So the mulch kind of helps keep the ground nice and moist, so the water sticks around a bit longer for the tree to make the most of it. See, it slowly breaks down as well and releases a bit of nutrients into the soil, and kind of stabilizes the temperature as well, so the tree doesn't get quite such extreme swings just in the kind of in the surface of the soil. And some of the other guidance we give is just to kind of keep an eye on trees. So as I mentioned, our tree guardians are really great. Some are extremely proactive and will send us photos or, send us emails letting us know that they noticed something that maybe doesn't look quite right, or, that a tree tie's come off. And generally we're able to respond to those things really, really quickly, and can head straight out, take a look at things. So yeah, it's just kind of, it's all generally quite common sense. You don't need to be a tree expert by any means at all. It's things like, does it look all right? Does it look healthy? Are the leaves the color that you would expect? Obviously, it's quite a good picture actually, because you've got trees with green leaves and trees with sort of darker red leaves, which, so I think I used to very, very quickly say, oh, are the leaves green? But obviously you want them to be the color you're expecting rather than just generally green. But yeah, and then also we just ask people to keep an eye on any damage, sort of mechanical damage, if anything sort of rubbed or knocked against the tree, because young trees are quite vulnerable to that sort of thing. They won't be resistant to much, disease or rot that gets in through any of those wounds in the bark. So those are some key things to keep an eye out for, and that we can respond to. So this is just a bit of an introduction to Tree Plotter, which is our kind of online mapping software that you sort of saw the map from, that anyone can access just at this address and just get the kind of public overview. And you can kind of have a look around and have a play, see what you can see on there. We've got all our trees mapped on there, and planting sites as well. So we are able to share Tree Plotter with different people and provide logins, so that either different groups or district councils, other teams within the county council that might need access, can see all kinds of things on there. And we use Tree Plotter to share our upcoming planting plans as well with the public. And we've also recently been able to start sharing it with our tree guardians. So we've got a special tree guardian login. So if you're keen on the techie side of things, you can log on to Tree Plotter and find your tree, and click on the tasks you've done. So if you've watered your tree or done some weeding, and then that's really helpful because we can see all of that when we're planning our tree aftercare. So that all the trees will still be visited, but it means we can prioritize the ones that don't have anyone else looking out for them, kind of bump those to the top of the list when we know that the others are getting a bit of extra help. So that's something that we've just introduced this year, and I think it's been quite successful, and also just really interesting to see on the map all the trees that people are looking after. So yeah, that's kind of the overview. It's quite a quick tour of our sort of whole, about half of the tree service and what we do regularly through the year. Hopefully you found it interesting and not too much is repeating things that you might have already heard or encountered before. And yeah, happy to answer any